Hello and welcome. You're watching Into Vietnam Daily Edition with updated business events throughout the country. Top stories of the day. The consumer confidence recovers in the third quarter. The HSBC says Vietnam's foreign current reserves will touch $40 billion by 2015. And overseas remittances turn away from real estate sector. Consumer confidence in Vietnam rose 2 points to 97 in the third quarter as local job prospects and personal finance are expected to be more positive next year. According to the latest Consumer Confidence Index released by Nielsen, a global information and measurement company, the index was the highest since the beginning of the year. The survey showed that confidence rose as the perception about local job prospects and state of personal finance in Vietnam improved. In the third quarter, the number of online respondents in Vietnam who felt good or excellent about local job prospects increased to 47%, 5% higher than the second quarter and 7% higher than 1 year ago. On the other hand, 1 in 2 respondents, or 50%, showed confidence in financial outlook, up 2 points from the previous quarter. The HSBC Vietnam Bank's General Director Samit Dutta gave an optimistic forecast that Vietnam's foreign currency reserve in 2013 would be about $30 billion, and it may be $35 billion in 2014 and $40 billion in 2015. Many years ago, when the dollarization rate in Vietnam was at above 30%, which was considered severe by the measurement of the International Monetary Fund, at that time, reducing the dollarization rate to below 15% was unthinkable, but now the actual ratio is just 12%. Several years ago, while living in the forest rate shocks, perhaps the optimists did not think in 2 years in a row the down US dollar forex rate just trend around 1%. The forecast emphasized the stability factor of the down US dollar forex rate in the past 2 years. This has helped foreign investment capital flow back, especially increase very fast and strongly from April 2013 so far. The stable forex rate is considered advantageous for Vietnam to attract investments in region, including, of course, many other factors. Up to nearly 70% of overseas remittances were poured into Vietnamese production and business in the first 9 months of this year, instead of real estate and securities.
In recent times, the real estate and securities market attracted a large amount of investment from overseas remittances. In 2011, the property sector lured the most overseas remittances with $4.7 billion, accounting for 52% of the total amount. In the period between 2009 and 2010, when Vietnam's inflation rate was at 17% to 19% per year, the State Bank of Vietnam had to raise the deposit interest rate to attract more capital. This helped the country to receive more overseas remittances during this phase. However, currently, the frozen real estate and security markets, along with a sharp drop in deposit interest rates, have discouraged overseas remittances. Investment from remittances in production and business is considered to be more effective and pulls in more money from abroad than the real estate and security sector. Investors now lack confidence in the property market in Vietnam. However, this type of investment has continued to pour into production and business activities, also partially helping to ease operational difficulties for enterprises and households.
Vietnam has gone halfway in implementing the 5-year socio-economic development plan in 2011-2015. In the period, the country has recorded major achievements in curbing inflation, reducing significantly trade deficit, keeping total money supplies, outstanding loans and interest rates at reasonable levels. However, challenges remain in implementing the government policies, especially the monetary ones, under the leading guidance of the State Bank of Vietnam. Therefore, Vietnam needs to generate stronger strategy and efforts to cope with the challenges in the coming time. Reviewing 2.5 years of implementing the socio-economic development plan in Vietnam, we have achieved encouraging results compared to the turmoil in 2011. However, the country is in a lot of hardships as bad debt levels, foreign exchange rate pressure are on the rise, and business operations are in stagnant conditions.
Trong điều hành chính sách tiền tệ thì về mục tiêu thì chúng tôi vẫn rất là kiên định với cái mục tiêu ổn định kinh tế vĩ mô và không thể chủ quan với cái diễn biến của lạm phát và cũng tiếp tục thực hiện các cái giải pháp tháo gỡ khó khăn cho hoạt động sản xuất kinh doanh, đồng thời là đảm bảo an toàn hệ thống của các tổ chức tín dụng.
Tôi cho rằng chính sách tiền tệ trong năm 2014 về cơ bản vẫn giữ hai cái nguyên tắc, đó là nguyên tắc linh hoạt và đáp ứng cái nhiệm vụ cơ bản nhất, đó là ổn định kinh tế vĩ mô, trong đó kiềm chế và kiểm soát lạm phát. Do đó thì căn cứ vào cái kế hoạch cũng như là cái dự báo về triển vọng kinh tế vĩ mô, kể cả các yếu tố về tăng trưởng, yếu tố về lạm phát hay là yếu tố về đầu tư, thì tôi cho rằng chính sách tiền tệ trong năm 2014 nên duy trì các cái chính sách cơ bản tương tự như năm 2013.
Among the new policies, the strategy of clearing non-performing loans is a priority to boost credit growth and stimulate the expansion of business community.
Năm tới thì có thể là có một khối lượng trái phiếu rất lớn, tức là lên tới khoảng 400.000 tỷ được phát hành. Và hầu hết là sẽ đưa vào đầu tư công, khiến cho cái khu vực này cũng có một cái tốc độ tăng trưởng khá là nhanh. Hai khu vực đó nếu mà tăng trưởng thì nó có thể có những tác động kích hoạt làm cho cầu của khu vực thứ ba, tức là khu vực doanh nghiệp và tư nhân, nó cũng được cải thiện. Và nếu ngân hàng giải quyết tốt nợ xấu thì tốc độ tăng trưởng tín dụng năm tới chúng tôi dự kiến là có thể lên tới 14-15%. Với như vậy là chúng ta có một cái tỷ lệ đầu tư trên GDP vượt quá con số gọi là 31, và chúng tôi dự đoán là nó có thể đạt tới 32% GDP.
The State Bank of Vietnam has made great efforts in maintaining stable exchange rates, which results in small margin of 2 to 3% of the rates in 2012-2013 period. Average interbank interest rate were kept at 21,036 Vietnam dong per US dollars within approximately 18 months. The rate was adjusted up by 1% only once on June the 20th, 2013. At the same time, interest rates among commercial banks were stabilized and fluctuate by no more than 1%.
Trong cái năm vừa qua thì chúng ta đã điều hành cái chính sách tỷ giá tương đối là chặt chẽ, và vì thế hiện nay là cái không gian về chính sách cho cái tỷ giá này là vẫn còn. Bởi vì theo quan điểm của tôi và cũng như nhiều nhà phân tích thì cho rằng là tỷ giá của Việt Nam thì có thể là thay đổi độ 2,5 đến 3% một năm, không phải chỉ trong năm nay mà kể cả trong những năm tiếp theo, với cái cách điều hành lãi suất của đồng tiền Việt và đồng tiền đô la Mỹ như hiện nay ở trong nước. Thế thì chúng ta vẫn còn một chút dữ liệu như vậy. Thế thì nhưng mà từ nay đến cuối năm thì tôi không cho rằng là cái thời kỳ là cái thời gian điều chỉnh phù hợp, vì nó không cần thiết. Chúng ta có thể điều chỉnh sang năm sau, bởi vì cái việc điều chỉnh là một quá trình liên tục, không nhất thiết phải là chạy theo cái chỉ tiêu, theo mốc đơn vị là hàng năm. Bởi vì từ nay đến cuối năm thì nó có thể sẽ tự thị trường sẽ có những cái dao động ở trong tỷ giá do cái nhu cầu cung cầu mặc dù là không lớn, thì chúng ta có thể nương theo cái đó để chúng ta thay đổi tỷ giá. Đấy, thế còn cái chủ đích của chúng ta thì có thể chúng ta đặt mục tiêu nó dài hơn, năm nay qua đến năm sau, đấy, để có một cái sự giảm giá đồng tiền Việt một cách chắc chắn từ từ.
The global and domestic economies are forecast to show a lot of improvements in the coming time. Nevertheless, unexpected difficulties and risks are looming around the corner. Hopefully, with the State Bank of Vietnam's great efforts in the past time in monitoring monetary policies, the central bank will be successful in realizing its targets and contributing to fulfilling the 5-year socio-economic development plans. Vietnam's tuna products shipped to the European market reported a respectable growth of 31% over the same period last year to reach $106 million during the first 9 months of this year, while exports to other markets show a decline.
According to statistics by the Vietnam Association of Seafood Exporters and Producers of VITV, the total export value of Vietnam fresh and frozen tuna and tuna fillet products reached nearly $54 million, showing slight growth of 0.24% year-on-year. Exports of processed tuna products to the bloc also gained impetus. Between January and September 2013, Vietnam canned tuna exports to the market inched up 76% year-on-year, while the processed tuna sales scored a staggering gain of 1.5%. Top 5 largest importers of Vietnamese tuna in the EU reported positive growth. These were Germany up 61.8%, Italy 4.8%, Spain 17.8%, the Netherlands 85.9%, and the UK 2.37%.
According to the Economic Zone Management Board, the occupancy rate in industrial zones remains low, just 60%. The industrial zones in the east of Thousand Region and Red River Delta have been fully occupied, while the ones in the Central Highlands and Northwest can only attract few investors.
184 out of 289 industrial zones, or 97% of industrial zones, have become operational. By the end of 2012, the projects had accounted for 50% of the total foreign direct investment, or FDI. In the first 10 months of the year, 73% of FDI flowed into industrial zones, roughly $9.8 billion. According to Economic Zone Management Board, an arm of Ministry of Planning and Investment, prior to 2009, industrial zones were considered the areas with difficult conditions, and the investors there could enjoy preferential tax rates. However, later the preferences have been removed, thus making it difficult for industrial zones to attract investment. The poor infrastructure in industrial zones is also the reason why industrial zones cannot attract many investors, except the industrial zones developed by joint ventures or foreign enterprises. Others which don't have much money to spend on their infrastructure development cannot attract investors or can only attract low-quality projects. After reviewing the 20-year industrial zone development, the government has applied a series of new policies to help industrial zones attract more investors. The corporate income tax law has been amended in the areas with difficult conditions such as the Central Highlands, the Northwest, or the Central Region. The Ministry of Planning and Investment would develop the infrastructure with the money from the state budget, while it would organize the events to promote investment there.
The Vietnam National Oil and Gas Group, or PetroVietnam, has announced a turnover of 627 trillion dong, or $29.85 billion, over the past 10 months, or 0.4% more than the same period last year. Just last month, the total production of oil equivalent reached 2.11 million tons, equal to 101% of the month's target. Further, total oil and gas production reached 21.91 million tons of oil equivalent, up 2.3% from last year and accounting for 87% of the year's target. The group contributed 145.8 trillion dong, or $6.94 billion, to the state budget during the period, posting a 1.4% year-on-year increase and meeting 98% of the year's goal. Of note, PetroVietnam has brought 6 oil fields into operation in the January-October period. Also, production and supply to the national grid last month increased by 1.18 billion kilowatt-hour, equal to 93.4% of the target. And before we go, let's check out today's update on gold prices, forex, and stock markets. And that's all for this edition of Into Vietnam. Thank you so much for being with us. Have a lovely weekend and bye-bye for now.